So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a $10 million bank presentation that absolutely changed my life and changed the way I saw business. So if you have seen my videos, I'll just give a quick introduction. I'm a founder of a healthcare investment company based in UAE. And I'm in the business of buying other companies, healthcare companies. And I have been involved in $3.5 million transaction, a $10 million transaction, a $25 million transaction, a $120 million transaction, and a $140 million transaction. These are the deals that I worked on, negotiated, and had the time to analyze risk and meet the decision makers of these companies and gained a lot of experience from it. And I wanted to share something with you. So this is the story of the day. It was my 7th month where I was building this company. I'm currently advised by, CEOs of $3.5 billion company, a lawyer that advised a $13 billion bank merger. I had on my board a CFO, which was a CFO of a $400 million company, a senior partner from KPMG that advises billion-dollar conglomerates, and healthcare CEOs that have more than 30 years of experience. These are individuals that are part of my company, and I'm currently advised by them, and these are the types of deals that I have been involved in the last few years. Now, this is the story. I was in my 7th month, and one of the another entrepreneur who was tapping the same market I was, and it was in the same business I am in. He reached out to me and he said that I have a deal. I was looking for a deal. I had just put together the team. I had hammered out the business model, the strategy, everything, and I was looking for a business to buy. When I say a $10 million business, $10 million deal, it's a business that is producing a good amount of cash flow, and the value of that business is $10 million. That's the purchase price. So this individual came to me and he said that I have negotiated and agreed on the price and everything. It's in a very good price for this business, and it's producing healthy cash flow. I can send you the financials. You can look at it with your team of advisors and let me know if you want to partner up with this deal, on this deal. And I said, okay, I'm game. Show me the financials. And he sent me the financials. They looked good. The valuation was in the price was right and everything was good. And I said, what do you want me to do? He said, you have such an incredible team. Have you met the bankers in the UAE? I said, yes, I have met the bankers in the UAE. He said, do you have connections there? I said, yes. By this time, I had done over 50 to 60 presentations with banks. So I knew how to navigate that space. So he said, if you can get this deal financed from your contacts, you can keep 50% of the deal. Your company can keep 50% of the deal. I said, okay, done. And I took the information and I started calling various banks. I cannot name these banks because of the confidentiality agreement. But I was really looking to finance this deal from the regional banks that are there. And I knew almost all of them by this time. I had points of contact in each bank. So I started to set up meetings. First, I sent the information on the deal and I gave a little snippet of what the business is and how much it costs. And, you hear a lot of no's, so I heard a lot of no's. But there was one particular bank that I met. In fact, this happened a few times after this also. This was a bank, one of the largest banks in the region. And the moment I sent my company profile, these guys took me seriously because of the types of people that I had on my board. These are very known names in the market, and the bank had their top executives on the call. So later on, I checked their names, and they had their names in the news, in the media, of being involved in a $300 million transaction, $350 million transaction, very big deals. So I saw these individuals. There was head of corporate and investment banking division, the head of that whole corporate and investment banking division. There was a vice president and I think a credit analyst and one more person. So there were 3 or 4 people on the call, very serious, with a very serious intent on the call. And I did the whole presentation. I said, this is our group. This is what we are planning to do. And we have a deal on the table, and we will be doing 10, 15 deals like this and building a company of this size. And we are looking for financial partners. And I'd like to present this proposal, and they said, sure, you have great names. We have been in this space. We have financed deal in this space. We are very excited to meet you. Very positive attitude and very upbeat, very excited. They liked that we were chasing, big numbers at the time. We had a plan of investing around $250 million in the next few years. So we shared that vision that this is what we intend to do. So they liked all of that. Then they said, okay, so what's this business that you're buying? What's the size? Tell us a little bit about this, And I said, this is a $10 billion deal. It's a $10 million business. The moment I said that, the air in the whole room got sucked out. There was just plain silence. And I was wondering, what did I say something wrong? So how much financing do you need? I said, I need $10 million. And then the air just sucked out of the room. And I was like, wow, it reminded me of the time when I would ask my parents as a kid for money because I asked too much, And I was like, I think I asked too much. It's my first bank presentation and I'm asking for $10 million. I have my own little dialogue in my head going on. And I'm like, I should start small. I don't understand what we're doing. So then I asked, the head of the corporate and investment banking said, I don't think we'll be the right team for this. And I was like, why is that? He says, because this is a very, very small transaction. I said, I thought to myself, small transaction? This is the $10 million deal. What do you mean, small transaction? And it was very amusing to me the way he said it, because he said that, he says, we are looking for deals that can generate at least 1 to 2 million dirhams of fees on the transaction. I mean, this is a very, very small need. And I was like, okay, so which type of deals do you want to do? He says, at least it has to be $50 million at the very minimum. Then we can get involved. I said, okay, that's fine. So who can I speak to? He said, you can speak to our small to medium-sized business division. The small, where you will be dealing with a junior banker or a banker not of their level. You can talk to them and you can discuss if they want to finance this deal. But we like your vision, we like your company. If you have a bigger deal, come back to us. And I was like, wow. It was just so counterintuitive, because growing up, if you asked for a lot of money, people would get insulted. That's what I was used to. But with the bankers, if you ask for less money, they are getting insulted and they want to lend more. Now let's break this down a little bit because it took a while for me to understand. They are not giving this money to me. They were not giving this money to me. They were lending it to me, which means the bank would be making interest on this capital. So the more the money they lend out, the more interest they will make. And the bigger the amount of money that is raised, the bigger the fees on the amount raised. You see, bankers always raise money from elsewhere and then they give it to you. The amount of money that they raise and the time they put in, they will be doing legal documents, law firms will be involved, their time will be involved. While they're involving that time, they're not pursuing other opportunities, they're losing out on opportunities. And they have to be very careful with which opportunity they align with, because they are putting in a lot of time. And their commissions, their bonuses are linked to the size of the transaction. So if it's a $10 million deal, they'll make a very little commission on that, the whole team. But if it's a $50 million deal, a $100 million deal, a $300 million deal, their commissions will go up. The interest that the bank would make would go up. And not only that, I spoke to several bankers and I asked him, what's your sweet spot in terms of ticket size? And they said, what size companies are you focused on? So I said to them, we are looking at $1 million to $20 million. They said, we could do 20 million. We could do between 1 and 20. It will go to the same division. It will go to our small division, $1 to $20 million. And I was like, really small? This is small? And he said, yeah, this is a small ticket. And I said, okay, which one do you prefer? 1 million or 20 million? And he said, we'll prefer 20 million. And I asked him, why 20 million? And then he said, because a $1 million business has very few employees, has maybe one or two major guys who are running the whole business. If these two guys disappear, the whole business will crash. But if it's a $20 million business, then there is a designated CEO. There are maybe, 25, 30, 40 employees, a very healthy base of customer, very good reputation. That business is unlikely to go bust overnight. So that's why we prefer to do big deals, because bigger businesses tend to be more stable. And we prefer lending out more money because it's less risky. The sizes are big and they make more commission and interest. He didn't say that, but that's what I know, that this is why they want to pursue, to justify their time, big amount of money. And I managed to get 2 term sheets from 2 different banks with great difficulty. I did over, 40 presentations and I kept following up with them over several months. And finally, 2 banks sent me a term sheet that they said we can finance. One of the banks said we can finance 70% of the transaction, giving around $6 or $7 million. And another bank said we can give you 50% of the transaction. So, and we had to act on these offers. And we had to come up with the 30% from wherever, from an investor or another bank. And long story short, we didn't go forward with the transaction. There was some issues with the deal itself, with the business itself. We found out some issues. We didn't go forward with it. But we managed to get this term sheet. And the model at that time, it was important to get validated. Will the banks finance these deals or not? And we got that proof. It was very strange because when I went to the banks with a $3.5 million deal, which was actually bought much cheaply and the ratios were much better, none of the banks were interested. None of the banks in the whole fucking region was interested in financing a business acquisition of $3.5 million. But when I went for $10 million, again, most of the banks weren't interested, but I still managed to get 2 term sheets. So some response, interest was there. But $3.5 million deals, nobody was interested. And that's the shocking thing that opened up my mind, is that in the business world, in the corporate world, it pays to think big. If you're working on a big deal, there are more people that can eat. There are more people, there are bigger commissions, and it's much easier to raise. It's much easier to raise $500 million than it is to $50 million. And it's much easier to raise $50 million compared to $5 million. And that's the lesson that I learned that day. I'll talk to you soon.